Alrighty, you know what? Fuck it. We're starting this bitch early. We'll by a minute. Alrighty, I'm just gonna send out the posts. Bop. 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 Alrighty, time for my citrus self to appear. How you guys doing? It's been a little bit since I've last done one of these streams, hasn't it? Originally, my break was gonna last a lot longer, but I was like, you know what? No, I got so many new followers over the span of, well, let's be real, a day. I feel like you guys are owed at least something, and that something being a stream. Here, let me, bop. There we go. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Let's see, Cryvo, welcome. Sorry, my voice still might sound a little funkier. I'm just like clearing my throat a lot more. You know, it's allergy season. But other than that, just gonna wait about a minute or two for everybody to get in here, or for more people to get in here. We're already at 4 viewers. That's awesome, man. That really is. But we got quite ourselves the show tonight. I'll tell you that. Other than that, how are you guys doing? Doing good? Week treated you well? I'll take that as a yes. Of course, I got my drink on hand, as always. It's a lemonade Bacardi white mix, as is the usual. But alrighty, I guess we could get started, shall we? Let me just open up the itinerary here and alrighty. Tonight on the ScurvyRum show, well, the world is burning. Well, a part of it. I wonder what part of the world that could be, if you couldn't judge by all the other stuff that's in here. So our first video of the night is Why Young Men Are Not Joining the Military by Gerbert Johnson. Mods, why is this guy on my screen? Oy vey. Cairo, I had to pause watching a small little white fox, so you better be entertaining tonight. I promise you, Cairo. You will be entertained. You will be entertained. Like how Zelensky said, you will know fear, you guys will know entertainment. We have an X account spotlight, haven't done one of these in a little bit, of Kaguya's Top Gal. I wonder why we're featuring that guy. Couldn't have to do with the articles we're talking about. Those two rather short articles being, Trump will make Iran decision within the next 2 weeks by insider paper, and Iran able to produce nuclear bomb in a couple of weeks by insider paper. And then we have 2 cancellations tonight, rolled up into one. And that would be Melanie Mack and the State of Israel. Oh, I wonder why that is. Well, what could be happening in the world right now? Hey, Pickle! That's enough. Mods, ban his ass right now. Ban his free speech right now. Anyways, we're gonna get started on the video here. Let me just skip the... Sorry, just have to skip a little bit, because I'm not interested in hearing Gerbert Johnson's rap song. Alrighty, gotta move myself over down here. Okay, I can move myself up just a titch more. Yep, there I am. So our first video is from Gerbert Johnson. So if you don't know who he is a he's a red pill, or he describes himself as black pill, but I think he's more like actual red pill, if anything. And he is making a video called Why Men Are Not Joining the Military.
Matter, and here I am at the beginning doing this gay little rap, but you know, I feel like it gives it character. People seem to like it. Tell me down below. I don't know. These like 2 countries are shooting a bunch of missiles and shit at each other.
Well, that's one way to put it. I think what matters more is who decided to missile strike who first, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who did the first missile strike. Oy vey.
Which is kind of crazy, like in the middle of Pride Month. Couldn't they have waited till the end of Pride Month? Like, here I am just trying to suck off a bunch of guys. And then these damn Hebes. Anyways, the way I'm going to start this, the other day I got an email that was very fascinating to me. The subject line is something to think about.
Okay, let's read this email for just a bit. Huh.
Never mind, it's something hope, retarded. Man. Just need nitro in the tank. Good luck to you personally. Now let's see what video this fellow sent me. Looks like it's from the U.S. Army Special Operations Command.
Oh boy, I like seeing that. Let's place our bets right now. Is this military video going to feature the diversity, or is it going to feature predominantly young white men? Take your bets, people. Take your bets.
Let's see. Iron sharpens iron. Oh. So one man sharpens another. Wow.
Not far from here on the hallowed grounds.
Notice it's. I mean, hey, the Old Testament, it is part of the Bible. I'm just saying. Why that specific verse, U.S. military? Why that specific verse from Proverbs?
Liberty near the intersection of Rock, Merritt, and Ardennes. Destined to the green marble is a quote from the 35th President of the United States. And it reads that the Green Beret is again becoming a symbol of excellence.
Have you ever
talk a lot about an article I read a while ago in which the author wrote about how today's youth, well, they're lazy.
Why?
They're lazy in language and communication.
Mr. Drill Sergeant, who's commentating over this, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think the young generation is lazy? Specifically, the young the Zoomer men. Why do you think we're lazy? What could be happening around us, especially those living in big cities? What could be influencing their decision to only do the bare minimum for society? That's true, applied virtue. That is indeed a big one. Lack of Christianity. But we're talking, I guess the answer I'm trying to prod, so to speak, has to do more with the fact of, living conditions, so to speak, cost of living. Lack of religion does have something to do with that, yes. Society does the bare minimum towards men. You're onto something, Akairo. You're onto something. Yep, that's true. That's true. But I would say they're not even at times they're not even trying to do the bare minimum. They just tell especially the boomers, they tell young men, you just gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And gee, that's gonna help for the increase of cost of living, or the fact that it's nigh impossible to find a good woman these days.
They don't seek hard work.
No,
nor
they
have
hate
the endurance to see it through.
Oh!
They are nor gritty or resolute, and they lack ambition.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's totally it. Not the fact that everything in society is so fucking synthetic that people. I wonder how people can even participate in it. Those bootstraps have snapped long ago. At 100% correct, my guy. 100% correct. These days when somebody says the whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps shtick, it's like, I actually am trying. I am. I'm in graduate school right now. I go to the gym. I lift weights. I know I'm learning martial arts, or have been learning for quite some time now. I'm I'm trying to do stuff with my life. But it's like, no, that's not good. You're not doing it the way I would do it. And it just goes back to bitch think, you know? It's like, oh, back in my day, that was... Hold on. Let me think this a little. Boomers are like, back in my day, that's all you needed to do, and you'd get a good paying job. If you just put in enough effort, if you just do this, just do that, it'll all work out in the end. But tough news, Grandpa. We no longer live in those times. Cost of living has rose up drastically. Majority of women are undateable. You can't even trust most people these days, if I'm being honest with you. That's largely from personal experience, but I find that to be the case when I talk to people online, that they just can't seem to trust people around them in the real world. How is pulling yourself up by the bootstraps going to fix that? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention going to, I go to church too. But why is pulling myself up by the bootstraps, how is that going to fix my problem? And that's when they tend to freeze or start saying, you're just not doing enough. So it just becomes circular. I ask the same question, they are incapable of answering it.
That article was from an op-ed in the 1938 edition of the Chicago Tribune. The youth the author talked about went on to parachute behind enemy lines in France and stormed beaches like Omaha and Utah, ultimately becoming the greatest generation.
Waldo, huh?
And as great as that generation was, I believe that your generation can be even greater.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your generation can be even greater. I hear that a lot. I simply just don't see that. I simply just don't see that in my aged peers. Or in my age range of peers. I don't fucking see that. I really don't. They are not particularly intelligent individuals. Not when they just promoted tech executives to lieutenant colonels. Fuck me, man. That's crazy. Certain people really should not be involved in our military, and tech executives should be one of those people. Hi, Denathrius. How's it going?
Your solemn objective that underpins every bead of sweat
Is to go die for Israel.
You stole my thunder, Gerby. You stole my thunder.
track of your tears, every strain and tear of your muscles, and every...
We have to defend the nation state that was founded in the 1940s called Israel, that has nothing to do with the Israel of the Bible. And we have to protect them because they're our greatest ally, or some other cliche like that. Yeah, that's totally a cause worth dying for. A country that's thousands of miles over the sea. Yeah, that's totally a reason to. That's totally a good and valid reason to die for. Another country most people don't give a shit about unless it's in the news. This is like how to kill military recruitment 101. Yeah, exactly.
And that objective is simply to ensure that our flag is still there.
Our flag.
Quiet as they be.
Our flag.
So may your eyes light up.
He's just... They really are ramping up the war machine, aren't they? I didn't notice... I didn't... Hold on, I might have caught a glimpse of a woman or two.
We are deeply proud of you. We applaud you. We love you, and we thank you. Deo Oppressor Liber.
Flying soldiers from the sky.
Again, Oh boy. The fact that they're parading the Green Beret around again, it's like they are desperate. They really want to go to war. They really do. However, most of the population has no interest in dying for Israel. I wonder why they don't. I wonder why they don't. They're not getting it through their thick skulls. Might have to do with money ties. That's a big one. That's a big one I thought of. Apparently, they didn't get the 80% potential non-compliance memo for the draft.
Fearless men who jump and die.
Featured percussionist in the North Ohio Elementary Choir's 1989 Fall Ensemble. I just knew that one day I'd be on stage inside of an extravagant performance arts theater.
The Green Berets.
Wow, very based. What a great military advertisement. Have you feeling something? Have you feeling some type of way?
It had me feeling even more apathetic. I'll tell you that much. It also made me more stubborn at the same time. No matter what kind of military symbolism you could bring back, I'm still not in the mood to die for Israel. I'm just not. I don't give a shit about it, and I find the country to be evil. It had me thinking of Russia's recruitment ads. How so, Okairo?
Way. I mean, I haven't seen a military advertisement that well put together, that motivational in forever, in my whole life. Why is it so good? Why is it so good? This type of thing, it's either
He's being
like
sarcastic.
it's very cool, it's very based
Dongus Khan, does my name show? Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
and masculine,
How
or
are
it's
ya?
the most repugnant, awful shit ever, all depending what it is in service of. Look, man, I appreciate you saying good luck. I appreciate the email. But you gotta be syndromic sending me some shit like this, talking about, I think there's hope, man. Are you...
Oh boy! Now that he mentioned that again, the ad with the context of, oh, I think there's hope for us, man. No, you clearly fell for really shitty propaganda, I might add. Like, how did they think this was gonna work on anybody with a brain? Sure, it's gonna work on the boomers, that's for sure. It's gonna work on the most retarded among us in the population. But for anybody with a brain, no, that's not going to work. I don't feel any sort of patriotism after seeing this. I felt like they are really, again, I'm gonna repeat myself, they are basically trying to restart the war machine, and they're trying to cover it up to appeal to a more right-wing population via patriotism messaging. Why do you think it had the Green Berets in there? Why do you think it had that speech in there? The mentions of, of D-Day, Normandy, and Omaha. It's meant to appeal to a more right-wing base. Like, the previous military ads of all the DEI and faggot shit, yeah, of course the military was going to promote that. That's what the current administration was pushing. Now that a different administration is in charge, they are going to try. The military is going to try to appeal to the right wingers instead of the left wingers. It's very simple how they're able to switch the message.
Daft? Are you
He has all the flags for all the ideologies. What is this guy's name? Gerbert Johnson. Well, this is his side channel, Gerbert's Void. It didn't recommend my chat before because the name has a swear. Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
taking the piss?
That's probably
They
it.
think you're stupid. They think you're dumb. They want you to be a drone. They want you to be a golem. Now, I think a lot.
He said golem. Anyways, he absolutely does have a point, but I gotta say, with this, who are you trying to convince, Scurvy? If it's like for your audience who's already based, who knows that this is all just an attempt for us to die for Israel, it's gonna land for sure. But when it comes to the normies who might stumble upon this, they're at this point, or even earlier, they're probably gonna click off the video because they're gonna think, "Oh, you're an anti-Semite." But I know you don't care about that. But if you're trying to appeal to the normies, at least with this video, maybe save that to the very end.
Out of my audience.
Other than that, it's still
I'm
stellar. Video's still stellar.
But to some, this may strike them as being very unpatriotic. Bitch-made, some would say.
Bitch-made.
And I will explain myself, but first let me read out this article. This is military.com. The Army's recruiting problem is male. A decade of declining recruitment numbers for the Army is almost entirely attributable to a significant drop in male recruiting, as female enlistments have remained relatively flat. Internal service data reviewed by military.com shows. Since 2013, male enlistments have dropped 35%, going from 58,000 men enlisting in 2013 to 37,700 in 2023. Meanwhile, female recruitment has...
I've also heard somewhere, like a while back, that if you want a chance at to live a decent life, just enlist, bro. Just enlist in the Army. But the problem is, those Army stipends aren't enough. Now, obviously, you're not going to be coasting life based on Army pensions or whatnot. But at least back then, when the survivors of a war, when they got paid, they were able to truly start a family. A lot of people joined the military because they were poor, and they were promised money. And wouldn't you know, for those who are alive, who returned from World War II, they were able to live in the South. That's how the Bible Belt was made. But also, yes, the sign-up bonuses. Yeah, that too. But yeah, by the time the war was over, that's how the baby boom started. Their the boomers, their parents, their fathers especially, were war veterans with money. And so they got to live the life in the suburbs. And then as they got older, by the time they were in their 20s, was it in their 20s? Yeah, no, the baby boom. Let me fact check myself real quick. Okay, this is gonna take a little bit. So the boomers were from 1946 to 1964, and got to do some cross-checking. When did the Cold War start? The Cold War started on March 12th, 1947. So by the time the boomers started to come of age, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get nuclear annihilated, man. We're just gonna buy everything, share nothing with our descendants. We hate our children, everyone." That's basically what they did. But when no nukes came down, they just had a bunch of depreciating assets. Yep. Didn't think they never thought twice about giving their children their house. Oh, they have to. Well, we were kicked out of the house when we were 18 because we had to go off to war. Oh wait, no. our hold on, no. We were kicked out of the house when we were 18 because we could actually make a decent living because we had mommy and daddy's money to help us out. But yeah. Oh man. Okay. I was kind of rambling there for a second. Hi Rexus, how are you?
Around 10,000 recruits per year. The stark numbers paint a clear picture of a significant source of the military's recruiting struggles, with the Army making up the lion's share of the entire force and thus needing the greatest...
And no, Boomer McBoomerson, no, I don't care. I'm not gonna fight no war. I'm not dying for Israel. But I fought in the Cold War. Cool beans. I don't feel like fighting a war. You could do that if you want. If you're that much of a warmonger. No, I'm just gonna stay here, do my podcast, or do my show, make my videos, play video, try to find a decent job. Yeah, and kicking your kids out at 18 begins the line of pulling families apart. Big time. By the time the baby boomers became parents, they loved doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing that with my children. Dusty, I'm only fighting a war if there's funny space Germans paying me in schnapps and mechs.
This volume of
That's
new
funny.
enlistments
That's
every
funny,
year. The Army
Dusty.
came up 10,000 soldiers short of its goal of bringing in 65,000 new active duty troops last year. In 2022, it missed a goal of 60,000 soldiers by 15,000. Critics have argued that the problem is tied to changes in military policy, including non-specific claims that the military has become woke. But experts described broader issues with men becoming less engaged in American society and less likely to enroll and graduate from college, more likely to die by suicide or drug overdose, and slowly disappearing from the general workforce.
Like we went over earlier, I wonder why that's the case. Why is it that all this is happening to men? It couldn't have been, the consequences of, the political decisions of the baby boomers. Now could it? Nope, it can't be that, guys. It just can't be that. Can't be the fact that, feminism was in full swing, truly in full swing, not just in regards to the vote or whatnot. I would say it truly got its swing during the second wave, because then all of a sudden all these other social issues were being brought up, and then the 1960s became one of the most tumultuous political periods in all of American history. And I gotta say, some of those changes that happened might have been good at the moment, but we are really starting to see the consequences of stuff like the Civil Rights Act. Salvage rights are reserved for winners. Brother, I win for the Lyrans. I always figured the blame fell on my Gen X's shoulders. My parents are Gen X, and they were given nothing. With my mom, it was taken from her because she was disowned by her family. We got fucked over by my mom's family. They're beyond redemption. Dotard, opinions on natives complaining on the reservations. I'm gonna need a lot more context for that. Dotard. Is it something in regards to Canada? Because if that's the case, I'd have to ask some people around.
Sharp drop in the mid-2010s of men's participation in the workforce, education, and military service is part of what some experts call a national crisis of masculinity. The Army is juggling enormous missions. A smaller army is away from home now more than it was during the peak of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It feels like the women who are advancing and the men to some extent retreating.
Again, they're just saying, oh, this is happening, but they don't go into detail as to why it's happening. I wonder why, like I know Synthetic Man has brought this up before on his live streams. As soon as any of these people bring up the woman problem, they're going to lose support. It's just it's just one of the many consequences of democracy, specifically the female vote. You're going to lose support as soon as you say, young women should you should get the fuck out of the workforce. Yeah, good luck being elected.
Says Richard Reeves. He refers to the phenomenon as a male drift. So this is all part of the male drift.
Well, yeah. Whether it is America or Canada, yeah, the lands were conquered, not stolen. We won that land through conflict.
The male disengagement, like I talked about last week, with men not wanting to work, but this is especially prominent in the military. And I've been asked about the military before. Hello, Mr. Scurvy. Why don't you talk about joining the military? It solves a lot of the issues you addressed. Why young men aren't working. I believe you can reap many benefits and your life trajectory can be positively impacted, especially if you're fresh out of school. I get it.
In a way, I get that too. I know some people who are in the ROTC program, but for them, it's because, their parents couldn't, they wanted to go to school, but their parents couldn't pay for school. So, you do your 4 years of schooling, and then you do 10 years in the military. What a great deal. That's totally not going to impact you, especially the women who do ROTC. I do remember knowing this one chick who I had a bit of a crush on for a while, but I knew if I asked her out, she'd just say, I have something that I have to do for the military. And it's like, I guess it wouldn't work. Nah, I guess that wouldn't work. But, anyways. Man, that's totally not going to waste a young woman's time. 10 years in the military. You might meet people, but you're not going to be able to truly settle down until your 30s. It's the same fucking problem. Whether you work for Shekel McGoystein at the corporate office or Shekel McGoystein in the military, the same problem happens for young women. I'm too focused on the military, or I'm too focused on my career. No, I'm not. I won't have time to repopulate and get the fertility rate back up with you. It's the same shit. Anyways, let's see. A lot of young men want to join the military because of genuine patriotic fervor. It's a good moral instinct. It's weaponized against American men, though. Fair point, and he acknowledges that. You give your life for the military, and what do you get in return? Debt, pain, and misery from a people that hate you. Yeah, especially if you're a white guy. Like I have met some. I think I have met some veterans who were once homeless. It's not fun. It really isn't. Yeah, and there's a good chance you'll also be homeless too. The military these days really doesn't prepare you for life outside of the military. Like you said, applied virtue, grave injustice. Because what skills do you learn there aside from being in decent physical condition?
Look, I understand the benefits. You get discipline, you could get brotherhood, you get purpose. It could set you up pretty well. I understand most of the roles are non-combat. But the reason I don't think it's a good idea to join, the reason maybe I didn't even join myself, is because when something goes down, of course I'm making this video in response to recent events. When something goes down, then you may be forced to participate. You don't get to choose when or where you are deployed once you join the military. The military could be a good deal for your own self-interest so long as you're not actually putting yourself in danger. You're not actually going to fight. Not because the idea of fighting, or especially fighting for a country, is bad, but because you're not fighting for your country.
Hold on, I'll let him finish his point.
You're not fighting for your own self-interest, for the self-interest of people or anything you care about. This is an illusion that has been stripped away if you have a 5th grade reading level and an internet connection.
Exactly. When you learn a lot of the shit that I've learned, it's like, no, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight for America as she currently is. Why should I? What do I get out of it? It's like what some of you guys mentioned earlier. Like, you go back to a people that hate you for who you are. But also, it's like, you know, the government isn't going to help you out after that. And most of all, there's a good chance you're going to die, especially if you're on the front lines. There's a very good chance. Let's see. It's basically everything outside of just going straight to work. Nothing much, unless it's specifically a job you're trained for. But even then, your job could be the guy who purifies water, which doesn't translate to civilian life. Or you get to choose. You get to choose to be a conscientious objector and suffer that. Yeah, you get put into prison for dodging the draft, but then eventually, you know, and when they really need people, they're gonna go to the prisons, and well, you can't escape that. It's a really shitty situation, and honestly, the whole process of the draft is extremely immoral.
The moral obligation.
I guess I could tie this to my monarchical stances. It's like, in a monarchy, like, yeah, you would want to die for the country, because chances are, if there's a good monarch involved, you like the way the country is, you have a family to protect, you have a community to protect. That's a big one. Monarchies tend to promote community. You actually have something to fight for. Especially if the leader is doing a good job. Now, if the leader is not doing that good of a job, well, like what Aristocratic Utensil has said on this subject, the king is the most vulnerable person. At any point, somebody can just try to kill him. Even if it's very fortified. There's there could be somebody on the inside, an advisor, even his own heir. Dead Sea Pirate, how do you choose your thumbnails? Sometimes it's a mix of, like, whatever I feel like, but also if it's somewhat relevant, or it could also just be if it's funny and I want to use it and it represents kind of my tone throughout the thing. Which is why I think the only option left is for but the public won't ever stand up like that anyway, so it's not worth mentioning. Fair enough. I didn't read your comment yet, Dusty. You would want to die for the country.
Obligation of a man to go fight has to do with protecting his family.
Yes.
And the country, the nation, is...
Well, when you don't have a family, what are you fighting for?
An extension of his family. Lots of young men don't have families now. The dating market, the way things are set up, a lot of men will not have families. Now,
something else too that I want you guys to think about. A lot of the issues that we're having in today's time in the 2020s, it all goes back to either two things. It's the Jews or the woman problem. And guess who caused the woman problem back in the 1920s? That's right.
Now, even if you do, I'm not saying now you should go sign up for war, because the country is not your extended family. And it doesn't make sense to go fight and die for a nation anymore, because the very idea of a nation that has any definition, any solid definition, would be considered deeply immoral under our current paradigms, and this is because of what happened in the 20th century in Europe. So they want men who they have discarded, who do not have families, to go fight and die for a deracinated economic zone? Is that what it is? Is that the proposition here? But that's not the end of it.
It's a shitty proposition right there.
It's even more ridiculous. It makes even less sense. You're not even fighting over this territory. Deracinated as it is, you're fighting across the world for a foreign nation. And supposedly this will add...
As you could see, if we do not fight for Israel, that means America is next. They're gonna start launching nukes at us, everyone. No, that's not what's going to happen. Israel is just basically treating us like a bitch. That's we are. That's what we are. That's what America is. It's Israel's bitch. It's really sad to think about it like that.
Abstractly benefit this economic zone. They benefit us. That's why things have gotten progressively better in America after 2001. Use your head. They think you're stupid. They want you to be a golem. I respect veterans, but mostly the ones who are able to look back at something like Iraq and come to terms. They're like, they went there, they did it, but they understood it was wrong. That to me is very powerful, and someone like that can't.
I agree, Scurvy. It's like they possess the self-awareness to know that it's like, what was I fighting for? The Twin Towers fell. It was very tragic. People lost their lives because of a bunch of dysgenic Muslims. Not getting too much into more detail on that. We're gonna leave it there. But I will finish the thought. And I'm going to serve something that I think is right to serve. I do think retaliation is in order. But then when they actually get there and they start seeing, what went on during the War of Terror, it's like, yeah, a lot of bad stuff happened in Iraq. Yeah, a lot of bad things happened in Iraq and Afghanistan and the other countries that America decided to strike back. What for? This terrorism? An idea? How do you fight a war on an idea? How? And the consequences of don't even get me started on the fucking Patriot Act. We're still suffering the consequences of that to this day. Soldiers with a soul look on the stuff they did. If it was morally bankrupt, they regret it. Few of the soldiers I know regret that shit. An idea, a concept, a thing. A war on drugs, on poverty. Exactly. You're waging war on ideas. How do you win? The war on terror was disastrous. All things considered. If you take everything into account, it was disastrous. And don't even get me started on, the troops being pulled from Afghanistan. That was a shit show in itself.
Can be a masculine role model. The guys who are just like, oh, I'm badass. Oh, That's not something to look up to. I don't care how cool you are, how many people you like. you're a golem. You are a golem. You are a drone. You didn't do anything to help anyone. They're using you. Your
Yep.
masculine instinct, what you think is cool, what would give you purpose, what would give you discipline. They're using.
You're being propagandized into thinking, going to war is something that will give you purpose. It's all propaganda.
That to do something, it's not even that it doesn't benefit you, it's that it's bad. And the article talked about how the military was woke, and that's why people, isn't it interesting how now that things are going down, all that's gone. Now the ads are all cool.
Exactly. I mean, aside from that, it was a regime shift that caused the advertising to be changed. It's like, yeah, as soon as people notice that there's white men in, straight, white, in-shape men in those military adverts, people rightfully think that something is going to go down.
Now the transgender people are banned. Now it's just white guys and classic rock. Maybe if you finished over the last 10 years, joining the military was a good idea. But when something like this happens, glad I didn't join. Glad I didn't join because I would be forced to participate. The values themselves, everything there, the brotherhood, the discipline, the patriotism, the masculinity, all of these things are cool. They're good. All of the core values are good, but it matters where they're directed.
Yeah, and they're being twisted by a bunch of people who seek the demise of all these angry young men who are dissatisfied with the system. Again, I've said this before. They are desperately trying to start something. That way, the young white men won't rise up. That's why they're doing this. Oh, can we put the Skittles in the army uniform? I want to see what happens then. Sorry, but over the last 20 years, it was multicultural. It was very diverse. From Bush to Obama, it was a certain way. Now we're here, and it's going back to normal, guys. Sorry, my bullshit sensor is ringing. Yeah, mine too, Dusty. Mine too.
Of evil, isn't it? Is the privation of good. The things are good. It's not used to protect. It's not used to benefit us at all. That's insane. If you try to posit that now, just shut the fuck up. No one's buying that anymore. It's the cat's out of the bag. Now, will this conflict have American boots on the ground? Maybe, maybe not. Will there be a draft? Probably
Oh, I
not.
fucking
That'd
hope
be
not.
funny. Bunch of military guys dragging chuds out of their goon cave. They're being dragged.
You're gonna have to kill. I can imagine it now. Just a chud like myself. Wow. I'd be like, I'm not dying. I'd be like, I'm not dying for Israel. Then suddenly, army people are in my bedroom, and I'm just like.
What the hell is this?
How did you find me? That's what I'd be saying after.
Dragged by the heels to a salt desert in the Middle East, scratching their carpet in their mom's basement, reaching for their body pillow. Maki-ma-san, no! A bunch of gamers storming the Bordeaux nuclear facility, getting shot down by turrets. Like,
if a draft happened and the minimal expectation of 50% refused to comply, that's 3 to 4 million men. The military couldn't cope with it.
fucking balloons tower defense. The points I made they still stand, even if it doesn't go in that direction. I'm not an expert on geopolitics, but what could happen is if we enter a prolonged engagement, there will be a military recruitment campaign. The ads will be good. They'll want a bunch of guys to join. And don't do it.
And unfortunately, I know plenty of guys who would be suckers, and just sign up. What for? some idea of America that doesn't exist. Unfortunately,
They think you're stupid. Don't die for these people. You're not dying for your country. You don't have a country. Use your
yeah,
head.
we
You're
don't.
not, even if you had a country, you're not dying for that one. It's fucking ridiculous. Crisis of masculinity, they call it. I said this last week. The media, in order to boost this recruitment, they're going to call men who are against it, who maybe are draft dodgers, or if there's something like this, they're going to call them feminine. It's
Oh my goodness. Scurvy, thank you for bringing this up. So, did you guys know back in World War One, women used to, I forget if it was like a white flower or a white feather. Either way, it was something white, and they would give men who were not off at war, who were not fighting for the country, these white flowers or white feathers, whatever, white feathers, yes, white feathers. Yes, the white feather campaign. And men who were given these white feathers were basically, you were basically excluded from the gene pool at that point because of a principled anti-war stance that the guy had. Now, it was a white flower. Here, let me look that up. I know it was something white. White flower. Flower world. Yeah, no, it was the No, it was a feather, the white feather. Sorry, I just looked it up. White feather. Yeah, women would be giving guys who were not fighting in the war a white feather to symbolize that don't engage with this guy. He's not dying. He's not fighting the war. Don't engage. He's a coward. Man, that was learning about that. You could be shut off from spreading your genes just because you might be a Christian who thinks that fighting this war would be committing a grave sin, or any other reason, or it could also be like you actually need to be at in the home front. You could be a farmer or a factory worker. Yeah, you still got that fucking white feather on you. You'd still be given one. Especially, if you were single. If you're married, it'd be a little different. But if you're single, yeah, well, good luck. The only way you could get a woman now is moving somewhere else. But honestly, that seems to be a fruitless prospect. Because then you're just going to be given another fucking white feather because you don't want to go off to war. It's fucking ridiculous. And if that were to start happening again, I don't think it's going to work the way that they think it would. I think a lot of people are going to be very angry and bad things will happen in Minecraft. I can't go into any further detail. It's called the Order of the White Feather, and women were encouraged to do it. A mark of cowardice. And guess what? Men should have started handing out shiners? Yeah, shiners to the chicks. Give them shiner box as a sign they're losers and drunks, of course. Based. Let's wrap this up.
They're going to say, oh, you're a bitch.
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if I'm called a bitch. I tell the guy, I got better things to do, faggot. Fuck off.
They're going to attack your pride, your masculinity. You're going to say, oh, you're a bitch if you don't want to go to the Middle East and die. These are the type of value propositions they're offering you. They have to play emotional mind games in order.
Convince the women to tell the men that it's cowardly to not fight and die for Israel. You'll get a lot more men to recruit you'll get a lot more men in the army that way. I'm still not going to do it. And you know what? I'd probably have a lighter on me and burn the damn feather.
In order to trick you into doing shit like this, so they're gonna call you a bitch. They're gonna taunt you, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the ads are gonna be based, this is how you be a man. It's gonna be a bunch of cool guys with guns. They think you are an idiot. They want you to die. Whatever. Oh no, I'm a bitch. I'm like a woman, basically. I'm being feminine. I don't want to go fight and die for my country because I'm a coward. Safe, bro. Makes sense. 15 years later, you're sitting with your legs blown off in front of a bank in a wheelchair.
That's totally worth it. Your legs being blown off. You did good to fight for Israel's sovereignty or whatever. You fought to continue a broken system. And what do you get for it? Your legs blown off and you're waiting at a bank.
Chair begging for scraps. That's how the veterans are treated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you see me walking by with that one girl you were about to ask out before you got sent to storm the facility. Got your legs blown up by a landmine. You're sitting there in your wheelchair. You're watching me walk by. Oh, but you were a man. Oh, but I'm a bitch. You were the man. Good job. Good job, man. Real manly stuff you did there. But hey, at least it was for a reason. At least it was for a good reason. At least you were fighting and dying for your country.
And it's usually those veterans that are going to be like, no, it wasn't worth it. I don't know what I was thinking. This was not worth it. That tends to be a red-pilling moment for veterans. If something really bad happens to them. Dongus Khan says, I love my family, but my mom and aunt aren't making military decisions for my life. I gave my legs for Israel. Can I have a quarter? Jews. Oy vey! No, you owe me for the surgery! No veteran I've spoken to ever said it was worth joining the military. Yeah, that's also something common that I've been seeing too.
And helping the world. Oh, wait. You're just a fucking moron. Do not fall for it. Look, I'm an idiot. You don't take my advice, but people should agree with me here. Don't be a fucking idiot. Do not let these people do this. They can't get away with it. If they tried to do a draft, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't go over well in America. But it's possible if this is prolonged, they might try to goad. They will try to incentivize it somehow. Use your head. Be vigilant. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's a great idea to go fight and be patriotic and
I think we get the point here. To summarize my opinions on this, no, I'm not going to fight and die for Israel. Fuck off for even asking me. And no, if we do start a war, it's going to be another stupid, bloody war that could have been averted if we weren't Israel's bitch. That's simple, really. I don't think he said much. Yeah, he did kind of repeat himself. This is his second channel where he does ramble a bit more, so it's not as focused as his main channel stuff. But man, the fact that this is all going on, it does make me think at least that I can only pray that, you know, no boots are on the ground. If Trump really wants to have a better reputation with the more dissident right, I would say you don't send any boots to Israel. If you want people to start respecting you again, even after you keep kind of blundering, your position on illegals in the country. If you could at least save your reputation by at least a little bit by not sending a bunch of, the troops to Israel. It's not needed. Ramadi, a veteran, gave me the best advice. Never chase battles that aren't worth chasing. Never fight a worthless battle. Fight for yourself, your own survival. And your survival. We already sent a whole flotilla that includes a marine escort as standard. Yep, I read your quote, Rex. I read what you said, Rexus. Oh boy. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm just gonna get the X page ready. So. Alrighty, so we're going to be looking at an X account now, an X account by the name of Kaguya's Top Gal. Basically, this guy makes a bunch of memes that involve making fun of, well, you know, everything, but as of late, he's been cranking, and I mean cranking out the memes involving Israel striking Iran. So let's see. Israel gets hit by missile. Everyone. I don't care if if it gets copyright struck. But yeah, a lot of people have been feeling that way. I get why. Right? I'd say rightfully so. It's like you guys were the ones to strike Iran first. What made you think they weren't going to retaliate? Oh my goodness. What did they expect that did they really expect that, you know, Iran wasn't going to answer in kind after, you know, being bombed? Our overlords can be seriously retarded sometimes. Speaking of that, I have a new button, and this perfectly describes the state of Israel.
Good job, buddy! You're retarded! Yes, you are!
Can we just go back to being apathetic? Alrighty, let me find another meme for you guys. That's hilarious. Look at this meme, guys. As you can see, it's a chud who's wearing a MAGA hat, who's wearing a Fell for It Again award, and you see Donald Trump about to go in for the kiss, with Israel. Sent you a relevant meme. I assume it's in DMs, right? And the chud is holding a Fell for It Again award. Why does that not surprise me? Oh, wait. Since we are looking at memes, let me basically play the song we're going to be listening to for the rest of the fucking night. You guys ready? It's music from balloons, baby! That's how seriously I'm taking this whole thing, I'm serious about this. This is... Oh, wait, no, we don't want that to be muted. I am taking this as seriously as the conflict between the monkeys and the balloons from Balloons Tower Defense. Okay, we could actually scroll down here. Rate my setup. Yeah, the big punching bag. I'm probably gonna be utilizing that one the most, especially as I still like to practice my 1-2s. Man. Huh? What's another one? So he does like to make very edgy jokes. Oh, perfect. So Jesus. So on the left, it's like that meme from Friends, right? Jesus, my Zionist Christians. What a fucking oxymoron right there. My kingdom is not from this world. Is not from this world. My kingdom is not from this world. Help Israel nuke Iran. Oh man. There have been so many Cole posters coming out of the fucking woodwork just saying exactly this on the right. Because they are so retarded in thinking that, just because the country's name is Israel, that must mean it's the same Israel from the Bible. It's the same group of people. The Jews are the same as they were since biblical times. Judaism isn't all that different from our faith. They're just a step behind. Fuck me, man. Yes, this is on X. Oh wait, hold on. Well, Donnie made it clear he didn't want Iran having anything. I knew this guy is pretty much sticking by what he said. These ones are always hilarious because it's just a subhuman IQ version digestible for all demographics. I had a meme saved, but I don't have a way to send it to you. On X. Meanwhile, our Pope is having Ben Shapiro bow to him. Really? At least from this image, I didn't see that he was bowing to him. I honestly, I found it very concerning that the new Pope was even entertaining Ben Shapiro. I don't know, maybe it's because the Daily Wire's influence or something? Influence. Orange boy! I'm an orange man! I'm 250,000 years old in fruit years. What influence would the... No, I'm not talking about on the papacy. I'm talking about as a news outlet. Like the Daily Wire, like Matt Walsh's What Is a Woman movie, when Candace Owens was still on the Daily Wire, she made she had a documentary about George Floyd and that whole situation. They have been fighting quite prominently on the culture war stuff. So that's what I mean by influence, not influence on the papacy. Sorry, I should have elaborated there. If you want, send it to Cairo the Ancient, and then I'll pass it. Okay, yeah, gotcha. But basically, I mean, I have my own contentions with Leo. That's probably going to be something for another episode. Again, it's largely because Scurvy's Orthodox, or on his way to become Orthodox, but that's besides the point. Let's find another meme, guys, shall we? Oh, spoiler alert for one of the cancellation segments. Here, actually, in the meantime, I'm gonna see what Dongus Khan sent me on X. It's a meme of the sky strikes. What is it? Iran has on Tel Aviv. That looks like Tel Aviv. And it has the fallout. Everyone liked that. That's fucking hilarious. Oh, man. Okay, let's get back to the thing here. Oh, wait, first I gotta X that. X is being weird with the notifications thing again. Let's find it. Huh. This seems a little suspicious, huh, guys? Israeli health minister. Targeting hospitals is a war crime. How many Palestinian hospitals has Israel bombed? Just give me a number. 36. The one thing I'd like to know, was this during the whole conflict, or was it in recent times? Because, oh boy, Israel sure has bombed a lot of hospitals. And I would agree with the health minister. Targeting hospitals is indeed a war crime. But how come that only goes one way, Mr. Health Minister, and not the other? I wonder. No, Rexus. We are going to be listening to the Balloons Tower Defense 6 theme for the rest of the stream. Anyways, let's scroll down. Lego architecture. Oh my goodness. That is funny. That is indeed funny. Oh yeah, I will play that for you guys. I will play that for you guys. Oh, that means I'm gonna have to pause the balloons music, but I could put it off for just a little bit, just a little bit, and I will play that song for you. I just have to find it real quick. Where is it? Should be. I think I have to scroll up, right? The Boom Boom Tel Aviv, or is it in World News? It's probably in World News. Boo. Ah, yes, here it is. Here it is. Alrighty, you guys. You ready to listen to a real summer banger? St. Gabriel destroying the icon of Lenin. Raka Ali. I love that guy. He's hilarious. It is a banger. Oh, and before anybody says, "Oh, you're just like Hassan," no. This is different. This is very different because this is not terrorist propaganda. This is a song that somebody made to express their disdain towards Israel. Yeah, this has taste. The lyrics, man. The lyrics, too. Boom, 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 boom. That's another song right there. That would be very, somewhat applicable, I guess. Anyways, we're going to play the balloons music again. Let's get back to the Kaguya's Top Gal stuff, shall we? When you eventually get average Israeli and their 4 passports, when you eventually get expelled, you need a plan B and C. But why Mexico or Spain? Here's another. Your son has been expelled 109 times. It's actually more like 111. Yes, but it's never been his fault. It's always the schools persecuting him for no reason. That's hilarious. Oh yeah, this must be about the. This is about the Ted Cruz stuff, the Tucker Carlson Ted Cruz interview. I should have brought that up tonight, but that would ruin the balloons music for sure. Unfortunately. We can't let a death cult of desert-dwelling psychos get their hands on nuclear weapons. And I think Tucker responds with, "Are you talking about Israel or Iran?" Oh, gee, they're actually kind of both applicable. Not gonna lie, they're both applicable. But at the same time, the whole, Iran is building missiles. That's been something we've been propagandized with our whole lives. Let's be real. Sorry, but I have passports for both Agartha and Hyperborea. That's hilarious. We can't let a death cult of floating balloons get their hands on blimps. Oh wait, they already do. I was trying to come up with the balloons comparison. Let's see. It's the Epstein tapes have him and it's about Trump, how he might be on the Epstein files. Holy shit. Instagram is now the #1 anti-Semitic site. It's actually 6 gorillion. Oy vey. I can't get into that rabbit hole right there. Republicans explaining why do they support Israel. Let's see, I got something. Let's see, did I get anything? Sorry, I just got a notification. So let's take a look at
We're
this.
not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
Oh my goodness, that's honestly so true. That's all they care. That's all the politicians care about, man. It's their fat payload. It's their fat paychecks from sending us off to war, possibly. Let's see, what's this one? JFK. Yeah, you guys do know that Mossad was the one to assassinate JFK, right? No, well, if you didn't, now you know.
And you say you belong to me.
Israel should not... Israel. Pew! Yeah, I think you guys get the point of this account. He's been popping off as of late. How motherfuckers are going to dodge the Iran war draft.
Daniel, hi.
Could you make me a woman?
That doesn't work anymore. Oh, man. Yeah, you guys get the point. Alrighty, boys, let's get to our 2 articles of the night. And let me just refresh the tab in case it got longer. Also, I'm going to finish off my drink before we do. That's nice. And I got another right here. Don't you guys like the balloons music playing while we're talking about international conflict? I sure do. So we have an article here from Insider Paper. Trump will make Iran decision within next 2 weeks. 2 weeks, everyone, 2 weeks. I got a gin seltzer right here. I'm gonna get some more hard liquor after I have this. That is good. Let's begin, shall we? I haven't done one of these article readings in a while, so I think it's going to be good. U.S. President Donald Trump said Thursday he will decide whether to attack Iran within the next 2 weeks due to a substantial chance of negotiations, as Israel and its regional rival traded fire for a 7th day. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt read out a message from Trump at a briefing, saying that there's been a lot of speculation about whether the United States would be directly involved, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place. I wonder why that may not is in there. Don't you guys find that suspicious? Even then, if it was just may, I would find that suspicious. If she didn't say, or may not. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by may not, Miss Press Secretary? What do you mean by that? at least for me, I could think of the answer that may not means war. That is very much a possibility. That is very much a guess. I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks, Trump said in the statement. Oh, wait, no, that was Trump saying that. Leavitt would not give details of what had led Trump to believe that negotiations with Iran were possible. Trump had said on Wednesday that Iran had asked to send officials to the White House to negotiate a deal on its nuclear program and end the conflict with Israel. Iran denied it would do so. I keep hearing about Iran's nuclear program. What nuclear program? There doesn't seem to be any evidence for it. Leavitt said that correspondence had continued between the United States and Iran when asked about the reports that Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff had been in touch with Iran's foreign minister. But she said she was not tracking that Witkoff would go to Geneva for talks with Iran. Trump held his third meeting in 3 days in the White House's highly secured Situation Room on Thursday as he continued to mull whether to join Israel's bombing campaign. The U.S. president had said on Wednesday, "I may do it, I may not do it," when asked if he would take military action against Iran. My thing is, why would you take military action on Iran when Israel says it has everything under control? I haven't forgotten about that. Netanyahu is very much confident in his campaign against Iran that he doesn't need the help of Americans. But why? Why should we bomb Israel, Mr. Trump? I mean, bomb Iran, Mr. Trump. Why should we do that? What could you be hiding, Mr. President? Trump the gherkin to. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the whole sand conflict. Now that an actual military power in the Middle East is getting involved in this, it's not just hummus and Hezi B. Iran is actually doing something, so to speak. You know, something might finally be happening in Chud world. Well, I can run. I have run a marathon of 7 miles back in 2024. What happens when you get to the 8th, Rexus? The drafters are gonna find you at the 8th. I'm joking, of course. Oh man, you know what drives me nuts about this whole thing? The fact that I would say it's the fact that we, and when I say we, I mean America, the American government, is so involved in the affairs of Israel. It almost seems like Israel has something on us. Not to mention Israel actually does have a lot of things on our politicians, but that's something else. Actually, just gonna pour it in here. Why not? Gonna wait for it to fizzle out a little. Yeah, I'm just pouring the can into my glass. As I was saying, it also shows something when both China and Russia are going peace talks. Stop snuggle struggling in the sand. Yep. The thing is, it seems like hold on, let me think this through a little bit. I don't want to make a complete ass of myself. I mean, I usually do anyways, but I actually want to try and say something cognizant this time. Why does it seem like Israel has dirt on America as a whole? I'm not talking about the ruling elites or whatnot, or what degenerate shit they get up to. I'm talking about what kind of stuff do they have on our government? Like, what kind of intelligence do they have? that basically forces us to basically be compliant with their every fucking whim. Seriously, without getting into schizo-babble territory, as I usually do. And yes, I know this is a rhetorical question, a ScurvyRum specialty, it would seem, but still, I think it's an important one to ask. But let's get to our next article, shall we? So we have another article from the same outlet, right? Probably because they do. The U.S. government basically opens itself completely to Israel and Mossad. Oh my goodness! Don't even get me started on just how much Mossad is involved in our affairs. So Iran able to produce nuclear bombs in a couple of weeks, says the White House. Look how short this is. Look how fucking short this is. Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in the space of a couple of weeks, the White House said Thursday, as U.S. President Donald Trump debated whether to take military action against the Islamic Republic. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that, and it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, says the White House press secretary. What a short article, guys. But if you think about it, where have we heard Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in the space of a couple of weeks? Where have we heard that before? I remember being propagandized with this my whole life, but it doesn't seem like Iran doesn't have much of an interest of producing a nuclear weapon, especially in comparison to Israel. I do question, why does Israel need a nuclear weapon? If they're doing everything just fine on their end, what do they need the nuclear weapon for? Or nuclear weapons? What do they need those for? If they're able to take care of Hamas, Hezbollah, and now Iran, if they're able to take care of that just fine, why do they need a nuclear weapon? Unless it's for the possibility of genocide of all of Israel's enemies. I think that's a very strong possibility. What do you guys think? That they basically just are interested in, achieving genocide. So much for all the Holocaust stuff. I thought Israel learned empathy, guys, after the Holocaust. They might, and that's scary. At least, at best, dirty bombs is what they had, and they never used them. That's what nukes are for, just like iDubbbz. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, Anthony. Oh well, I have no strong feelings one way or the other. I know for me, as an Orthodox Christian, my stance on my dislike of Israel and Judaism comes from the fact that, I'm a Christian. But also, it's like I see the behaviors, I recognize the patterns, and I'm just like, well, there's probably something that's going on underneath the surface of all this. And it ain't good. We're going to do a bit of a bonus segment. That was rather short. Let's see. So, Putin denies... I know one of y'all brought up Putin earlier. I think it was you, Okairo. Putin denies trying to be an Iran-Israel mediator. So, Putin on Friday... Oh, that's today. said that he was not seeking to be a mediator between Iran and Israel and was only suggesting ideas for how the countries could resolve the escalating crisis. The Kremlin has spent much of the week positioning Moscow as a potential peacemaker after Israel launched strikes on Iran, which retaliated with missiles and drones. But Western leaders have pushed back on a role for Putin. And earlier this week, Moscow said Israel had shown little interest in its overtures. You know, have you seen images of Putin, at the wall? Yeah, it goes to show you what you need to know about him. I don't exactly trust him, But comparison to Zelensky, it's night or day who I would trust if I had a gun to my head. We are by no means seeking to act as a mediator. We are simply suggesting ideas, Putin said at an economic forum in St. Petersburg. If they turn out to be attractive to both sides, we will only be happy. While Moscow has condemned Israel's strikes, Russia has not offered military help to its ally Iran and has downplayed its obligations under a sweeping strategic partnership agreement signed just months ago. The Foreign Ministry on Thursday warned the United States against military intervention in the conflict, as it weighs joining Israel's strike against Iran, and pressed multiple times to comment on Israel's apparent threats to kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Putin said Friday, yeah, I'm not exactly a big fan of that guy. I wonder why. Wonder what Scurvy's blood ties are to Iran. I really hope that the things you mentioned remain at the level of rhetoric. Putin spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Iranian President Pezeshkian after Israel launched its strikes on Friday. But the Kremlin said earlier that it saw a reluctance, at least on the part of Israel, to resort to any mediation services or to embark on a peaceful path towards a settlement. President Trump and President Macron, French president, quote unquote, have publicly pushed back against the idea of a mediation role for Putin. Gee, I wonder who's lining up their pockets. He actually offered to help mediate, I said. Do me a favor, mediate your own. Let's mediate Russia first, okay? Trump told reporters at the White House last week, referring to Russia's conflict with Ukraine. I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You could worry about this later. I mean, it is true that Iran is indeed an ally of Russia. But you see how Russia is responding to this compared to America? You see that, you see Putin's response is, let's try to we should at least try to settle this, compared to Trump, where he's like, yeah, I may or may not help Israel bomb the shit out of Iran. Meanwhile, Putin is like, how about we at least try to mediate the conflict? And it's true what Trump said about, Russia, considering he's involved in the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict. Which, let's be real. I don't know why Russia isn't just outright stomping the Ukrainians right now. I think there's something up with that for sure. Again, Putin was at that damned wall. So again, take of that what you will. I think that war, while it is happening, and unfortunately a lot of young men are dying on both sides, I think that the only reason why this is being dragged out is for the sake of, probably for the sake of for the media, for everyone else. Again, Zelensky's goal for Ukraine is to basically be like Israel number 3. The country in the Middle East, that's Israel number 2. Israel number 1, and I'm just saying that for the sake of saying it, is actually in Russia. It's a place called Khazaria. That's the actual homeland of the Jews of today is Khazaria. It's still around, actually pretty developed. But honestly, at least I guess to give Russia some credit, right? It is at least like trying not to get itself involved in another war. Because it is, in general, it's not a good idea for a country to be involved in 2 wars at the same time. And that's really not a good idea. You don't even need to say as an insert whatever identity to be against actual persecution, Dusty. Then again, I'm one of the few who's tired of people constantly saying that. I get it, Rexus. I was simply mirroring Scurvy's view. I'm apathetic to this affair. I just don't like how either nation treats Christians. Yep. I want, as somebody who is part Iranian, I want Iran to be a Christian monarchy. An Orthodox Christian monarchy. I think the Shah kind of failed in some regards. He did do a damn good job in others, but I think if Iran was a Christian country, I don't think it would have been conquered so easily by a bunch of Muslims. Anyways, do we have anything else that we could read here? I guess that's it. In the meantime, let me just take a look at my DMs I got on Discord. No, wait, no, it's just Celeste. Anyways, I will check on my notifications before we get to the regular cancellation. It's honestly quite the short stream. I got some pushback from my friend Will about the Tel Aviv video you sent to Cairo. It's a catchy song, I gotta say. Again, it's not that when it comes to the people there, right? It's not that, again, the civilians, again, I do feel bad, especially when it comes to the Christians over there. But at the same time, it's more of just like, Israel, you kind of brought this on yourselves. So, well, you could thank Sen. Gotcha. It's like, I'm just being, again, Scurvy's an edgelord. So there's that. It's also a catchy song, I gotta admit. But if you pay attention to the lyrics of that song, it does go back to why that happened in the fucking first place. Anyways, sorry, I was just checking on my feed. Anyways. Let's get to our regular cancellation, shall we? And that would be... Actually, hold on. Yeah, I don't mind taking a break just to address what I got. Or what I got earlier. Yes, I'm gonna keep the Balloons music playing because it's hilarious. But again, it boils back to the fact that the lyrics of the song are all about what caused Israel to get bombed in the first place. Because Israel started... Because it was Israel who started it. And also, we have the casualty numbers too. Iran. From Dusty. I see, yeah. Oh, I know that icon. I'm quite the big fan of it. But, again, the song's lyrics, it's not like, again, I said earlier, it's not like Hassan, where he's celebrating Houthi propaganda. This is a song about what caused Israel to face retaliation from Iran. That's what the lyrics are about. But yeah, if we're comparing the casualty numbers, yeah, Israel did a lot more damage compared to Iran. And for Iran, they did not target hospitals. Unfortunately, they did target civilian buildings, which I do think is not good. Yeah, that's not good. But it is a consequence of scatter missiles. Anyways, let's get back to the regular cancellation, shall we? Or let's get it started proper. All right. Oh, where's my button? Seriously, not bad faith. What did Houthis do? The Houthis are just a terrorist organization. They basically are very much the kind of Muslims I make fun of. Anyways, so let's cancel Melanie Mac, shall we? Because she's been making a total ass of herself. So we're gonna try and find something. Oh yes, this post from Sola Chad. Yeah, that guy. I alluded to that earlier. If your theology teaches you to hate Jews, it didn't come from Jesus, who was a Jew.
Good job, buddy! You're retarded! Yes, you are!
Okay. This is a consequence of Sola Scriptura right here. The thing is, do you know why a lot of people don't like the Jews? Do you know why, Melanie Mac? One thing's for sure, it's not about... Hold on. It's not about who they were back in biblical times. It's primarily about who they are now. There's only, again, what I said earlier. It's primarily about what they're doing now. Bombing innocent civilians, bombing hospitals, destroying churches, subverting governments the world all over, whole bunch of things too, influence in the media, pushing all sorts of messages, subverting the culture. Oh, gonna send me a DM, Rexus? But anyways, the Jews of today, right? They are, how do I put this in YouTube friendly terminology? Like, there's not really a need for Judaism to exist anymore because Jesus Christ fulfilled the old covenant. Simple as, right? But then, at around the time of the early church fathers, when they established the church or whatnot, right? They around that same time, you had a bunch of people that were. It's like, yeah, you had a bunch of people that were basically seething at the fact that, oh, oy vey, we have, oh no, we can't practice anymore, even though there's no need for you to practice it, right? So they basically just had a bunch of their the rabbis talk to each other and write down their conversations, and that's what the Talmud is. And those conversations are very messed up. Again, when these types of Christians are promoting the modern state of Israel, right? They have this false idea that, oh, these are the Jews, these are still the same Jews from back then. No, they're not. they really aren't. Oh boy. But people like Sola Chad or Melanie Mack do not understand that. In addition, let's see. Even though she might say stuff like, oh, LGBT is a social contagion, again, she'll never acknowledge that, it's that shit stems from Jews. She'll never acknowledge that. Oh boy, let's see. And then she also says this right here. Jesus Christ was a Jew and is king of the Jews. The Bible was written by Jews at the behest of God. I love the Jewish people, and I will always pray for them. Oh boy. And I decided to quote post this with, we could actually look at the thread. I think this is going to be very, very interesting to look at here. I did quote post this with a post from Methodios in regards to exactly how to debunk this, so to speak. So let's read through the thread, shall we? Let's see. Let's scroll down here. This comment isn't of concern. You're typing all that like they didn't kill him. That is true. That is also true. The Jews of back then, they did want Jesus dead. It's more so specifically the rabbis and the Jewish priests. But there is that stone toss meme of. It's like a 2-panel comic, right? The nail Judeo and the nail and the hand that the nail is being hammered into, the hand being Christian. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Do you think criticizing Israeli government policy is anti-Jew? It's not inherently. What do you mean by not inherently, Mel? And then this guy, Zach the First, says it's not at all. Israel from 1948 is not the same Israel, and even if it was, it wouldn't matter because Jesus said Israel would no longer be the kingdom of God. That's also true. I just sent it, Rexus. Okay. Yep. Accept. There was a guy called Cathalaban. He's a former Catholic, and he was very prominent in 2023. I remember him saying, the word for neighbor in the Bible love thy neighbor refers to your personal neighbor, not your collective one. Love your personal neighbor and or enemy, not your collective one. This is something I remember most from him, and I'm not even a Christian, and I find to be the truest part of the Bible. I miss Catholiban, to be honest. I know you don't know who he is, but let me reminisce on the good old days. Hey, you're good. Most modern people misinterpret the quote. Yeah, that's pretty based right there. So let me see. I got another DM. We'll get back to the cancellation in a moment. Hold on, I'm actually going to respond to Will real quick. Hold on, I'm just coming up with a response. So yeah, because I do agree with Will. I'm not, like, in terms of the song, I'm not celebrating innocent people dying or anything. I'm mainly just vibing to the lyrics of the song. It's true. Anyways, let's get back to the cancellation. I'd rather not start like some drama with my friend. Anyways, because yeah, the modern state of Israel is absolutely not the same as Israel in the Bible. Muppet Pastor, he says some decent stuff every now and then. Oh yeah, wait, sorry. I don't know, I checked. Now we're getting into a bunch of Protestant comments. Great. I love going in depth with that. So let's read it first, even though it's gonna be Cole, I can guarantee that. Minor update. Jesus is Jewish. As he, you know... Okay, this is complicated. Again, you're boiling down... You're trying to... Okay, I know what's happening here now. I thought it through. Basically, you're only focusing on his human side and not his divine side. Again, Christ is both 100% man, but also 100% God. And you're kind of, I feel like whenever people say stuff like that, they're denying his divinity. And so when you only focus on the human side, you do kind of deny the divine side, which is why a lot of Orthodox people tend to say that it's like no, he is also far beyond the idea, he is also far beyond ethnicity because he's also 100% divine. And yeah, I agree with you, Divine Knight of Liberty. For the most part, the Jewish, the Israeli Christians are fine. That's what I'd say. I do have issues with the current state of Israel and the Israeli government, though. Also true. I do think I've seen many an interview of of Jews on on the street interviews with Jews in Israel, in Tel Aviv, who are like who just say really horrible things about what should happen to their enemies. And again, that's the approach that the IDF is doing. It's they don't just want to make their enemies submit to them; they want to annihilate them. Again, it seems to me that the IDF is basically wants a genocide, not merely trying to settle down conflicts in the region. They want them to be gone. They want they want their enemies to be gone. And I wouldn't say that's all that ethical. One second. I'm just reading it. Let's see. Here. Anyways, let's continue, shall we? We'll keep scrolling down here. The Bible, from Project Mystic, the Bible also talks about Jews, their relationship to the rest of us, and what they did to Jesus. From 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 14 to 16. For you, brethren, become imitators of the church of God, which are in Judea in Christ Jesus. For you also suffered the same thing from your own countrymen, just as they did from the Judeans, who killed both the Lord Jesus and their own prophets, and have persecuted us, and they do not please God and are contrary to all men, forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles, that may be saved, so as always to fill up the measure of their sins. But wrath has come upon them to the uttermost. Now, what does that mean? So this is one of Paul's letters to various different civilizations. This is the first letter to the Thessalonians. So, what is Paul saying here? What is St. Paul saying here? So he's basically saying, hold on, let me think this through. Basically, they're saying what these verses are saying, and this is just in my own interpretation of it. I'm not saying with any authority. Basically, it's this part. He is saying that we do share the same sin that they committed, but Christ did die for all our sins. Hope that makes sense. Anyways, let's continue on. I felt like I kind of butchered that. Jesus Christ is God long before being a Jew. And let's say I grant it. What you're doing here is a false comparison, because him being Jewish ethnicity-wise, doesn't mean behavior was the same. Yes, God uses the Jews, however, that doesn't make the Jews special. And if so, then it seems as though there's limited free will in God's reality. Was he God before being human? That's a good question, Matthew. Very good question. Let's see. Completely missing the forest for the trees. He is one flesh with the divine. Disrespectful. I see. They imitated Christ, suffered for it. Ah, I see. It's illegal to preach Jesus Christ in Israel. You get spit on. They hate us. Also, Jesus, King of the Jews? No. Jesus Nazarenus Rex Idorum? What does it mean from correct Latin? It says, Jesus the Nazarene, ruler of the Judeans. The alteration of the word, Eudorum has misled everyone. In the time of Pontius Pilate, in history, there was no religious, racial, or national group in Judea known as Jews, nor had there been any group so identified anywhere else in the world prior that time. Latin, rex, in English, ruler, leader. With the invasion of the British Isles by the Anglo-Saxons, the English language substituted the Anglo-Saxon king for the Latin equivalent rex, used before the Anglo-Saxon invasion. At the time of Jesus, the political subdivision in the Middle East known in modern history as Palestine was Judea, or in English, Judea. The native population was called Judaeus in Latin, or Judean in English. In Latin, the genitive plural of Judaeus is Eudorum. The English translation of the genitive plural of Eudorum is of the Judeans. There is no factual foundation in history or theology that the Greek Judaeos, the Latin Judaeus, or the English Judean ever possessed a valid religious connotation. Well said right there. Well said. However, I think we are going to cut this segment a little short here. I don't mind. But ultimately, and I'm also going to put a pause on the balloons music. Ultimately, Melanie Mack is indeed canceled, as well as the state of Israel, for basically lying. With all that being said, thank you guys for stopping by. I know things got very edgy early on, but that's kind of the ScurvyRum specialty. Anyways, I will chat with you guys later.